I'm hunting for a creature behind the myth of a child-killing monster, the kappa. It's a creature known locally as the Hanzaki, and I think I'm just about to come face to face with it. I have caught a Hanzaki, better known as the giant Japanese salamander, one of the largest salamanders in the world, and the creature that I believe is behind the kappa legend. They get bigger than this, but wow, this creature is aggressive, even though we mean it no harm. The good thing is that these guys, unlike fish, are just as at home on land as they are in the water. Pretty soon, he calms down.
There's a Hanzaki noodled, and I'm very pleased that even with my gloves on, my hands stayed away from that mouth. He wasn't too amused by the fact that he was just pulled out of his hole like that. But this, I think, is the creature I've been after. Looks a bit like a fish, but it's got hands. And that's exactly what this has got.
Mr. Toshimoto is monitoring the health of the Hanzaki population along this river.
It's nearly 10 pounds.
Measuring, weighing and micro-tagging every one of his catches.
Counting all the digits, all normal.
So that when he recaptures them, he can build up a clear picture of how this incredibly rare animal is faring in the wild.
Best part of a yard long.
And now we have collected a new one for his study.
This is an animal that hasn't been caught before. It doesn't have a chip in it, so that's a really good capture. Normally I wouldn't be allowed to touch this, but the fact that I'm acting as Mr. Toshimoto's assistant means that I'm able to work with this animal.
There are only a few pockets of these endangered giant salamanders left in the wild, these creatures that haven't changed since the age of the dinosaurs. Their survival is an important part of Japan's natural heritage. And when I try to release it, this national treasure still makes one last attempt to bite me, before disappearing, unfazed by his capture. As darkness falls, my goal is simple. I want to catch an even larger one that is big enough to potentially pull a child underwater. I struggle to avoid getting bitten by the last one. I wonder how I will tackle a giant at night. And since these salamanders are reputed to grow to nearly 6 feet long, I'm not even sure I want to. Giant Japanese salamanders are under threat from an unusual source, their closest living relatives. Introduced Chinese salamanders have started breeding with the native Japanese giants, creating hybrids. When any Chinese or hybrid salamanders are found, they have to be removed from the river. Mr. Toshimoto keeps a collection of them back at the Institute.
Right, take a look at this. This was caught from a river just a few miles from here, but this one's a hybrid, so this doesn't get put back in the river, and this is why I can have a good look at it.
This guy is nearly 4 foot long, and when they get this big with no natural predators, they're fearless. Now those descriptions I heard of the kappa, it sounded just like this composite animal, a mixture of different bits of different animals. And I mean, what is there that is like that? Well, I think this is it, a giant salamander. You've got the flat head, the wide mouth, long muscular body, complete with this powerful tail, and then, last but not least, you've got these limbs. It's just like a fish with limbs. Now, if you saw one of these down in your local stream, I can fully understand you not wanting your child to go swimming there. Unlike most river monsters I encounter, which like deep, dark water, these salamanders live in small, crystal-clear rivers. The kind of streams you would let your children play in. And watching them catch a fish, you can see how the idea came about that the kappa kills its victim by sucking out its soul. These voracious predators literally vacuum up their food. it doesn't kill you in its jaws, then a more sinister fate awaits you. Imprisoned, alive in its stomach while you slowly dissolve. So this investigation has taken me into new territory in more ways than one. My mission is always to find the truth behind the legend, but as soon as I arrived in Japan, the task felt overwhelming, with stories of earthquake-causing catfish and child-snatching killers. But I have found what I believe to be the truth behind these tales, and the one thing that I will take away with me from Japan is the knowledge that the wall between truth and fantasy is sometimes paper thin. I can fully understand how this creature could inspire legends. And in my book, it certainly qualifies as a river monster.